If you're looking for the cheapest coins in Madden 23, head over to AOEAH.com. They are fast and reliable. And make sure to use code WOLF for 3% off. Link is in the description. In today's video, we're going to go back into the coaching adjustments. I like to do this about once a month to keep you guys updated on the setups and the settings. Before we get into it, make sure you drop a like on today's video. Now, if you're newer to Madden, it is important that you learn a scheme. You need to know all the little route concepts and combinations to get down the field, because if you're just throwing PA crossers, eventually you're going to get cooked. However, there are route setups in the game that pretty much get open every single time, no matter what your opponent runs. I offer that in the members area with the full scheme breakdowns, which is kind of like the meta stuff. So the stuff that everybody's using, tight offset, tight in, that full scheme breakdowns in there. The wild trio weak is in there. The dollar defense, which spinner is probably the best defensive play to use, that's all in there. The 4-6 defense, if you like to use the bear fronts or anything like that, the 4-6 full scheme breakdowns in there. The Ace Madden mini scheme is in there. Link to his website is in the description, acemadden.com. So make sure you check out stuff. Everything that you need to be better at Madden, just dominate in the members area or on Ace Madden's website, man. So check it out. Okay, coaching adjustments. Check this out, man. Auto flip defensive play call. If you're running cover 3 or you're running like cover 6, my recommendation is to keep this on. Cover 3, because you want your defense to align properly and you want your inside third to be on the strong side or like the bunch side or the trip side. You know what I mean? You don't want no one running up the seam and then throwing a touchdown on your head if you don't have that inside third properly aligned, as well as the run play calls. Now, in some situations, base align, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, will be your best bet. But as far as flipping your defense properly, you want to leave this to on. And it works well for cover 2 to make sure your vertical hooks and your linebackers are aligned properly. It just saves you, a lot of trouble. So if you're newer to Madden, you leave that on. The time that you turn it off is if you want your defense to do the same thing every single play. So when we run spinner, right, I turn this off, and you can even turn this auto alignment right here to base. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But remember, auto flip defense play call. If you're newer to Madden, don't understand the concepts of how defenses work, leave this to on so it helps you out. Auto alignment. Defenders will align according to their default alignment. So as we have auto flip defensive play call on and we run a cover 3, then our defense will align properly to the way the receivers are lined up on the formation. However, if you change this to base, the defenders will align according to their base formation position. So an example, you'll see the nickel over. You see where the blues are? The blues are, they turn into X's on this screen. Now, if it's man defense, these guys are going to align in man up principles. But let me just show you real quick. So with it off, actually it's in base, because that's what we did. Okay, we set it to base, my bad. But if you leave it on default, these guys are gonna line up in man. So you can throw a lot of looks at your opponent. So we'll run man defense, and then let's go ahead and run PA crossers. Now you'll see that everybody's man to line over here. All right, you see that on the left side? What we want to do, and you can base align from your controller, you don't need to put the setting on, but wire triangle left stick to the right for base, it's going to put them in the default positions, which is pretty much going to confuse your opponent. He's not going to know if you're running zone. He's not going to know, and you can base align twice too if you want. However you want to do it, 3 times. Typically people do 2 times. I typically do 2 times depending on the situation, how my blues align. But you can disguise your defenses using base align and defense. So they don't know if you're running man, they don't know if you're running zone. Just things like that. You can mix it up, but you got to be careful, because in some defense like big nickel, it will mix up your whole defense and you will get the shaft, I promise. So base align, defenders will align according to the way their base formation. So the way the blue bubbles look on the formation screen, that's where they're always lined up if you leave it on base. In man, even if you're running zone, right, we could pick a cover 3 sky and we'll run the same play. These guys will still line up like it's man defense, so in front of the receivers. However, you see what happens when you do that. This is what I'm talking about. Scrambling starts to happen. So make sure if you have a defensive scheme and you're using the same defense, they're using a defense that isn't doing this in man align. Because I think big nickel is probably the worst out of all formations to really just shaft you, especially in cover 2, especially when you press. It's just a horrible situation. So right here, the way I use it, I leave it on default because sometimes I baseline, sometimes I don't. Ball in air defense, the AI players will play based on their ball in the air trait. What I've noticed so far is that if you're running man defense, this play ball is going to kill you. AI will play the ball in 2-man catch situations, because what's going to happen is every single time your opponent throws like a corner out, these guys are going to go for a pick animation, and a lot of the times they're going to miss. Instead, you want to use the SWAT ball. If you have acrobat as your ability on your defense, on your corners, then these guys will actually try to swat the ball, and your AI defenders will try to swat the ball in most situations. Now, you can still user click on and then get the pick. However, if it's the AI, you really want them to swat the ball, because that's going to prevent a lot of these plays that go down the field over your head. If they can get to them, they can knock out the ball. And if you have knockout, this is probably going to be your best bet, your best setting with the knockout ability. Cornerback matchups. Now, this one's a little tricky because back in the day, I used to run by speed. The fastest cornerback will match up with fastest receiver. However, it will confuse your defense as well. There are plays that can glitch out your setting by using motion to run wide receivers across the field. It'll scramble your defense. So if it's happening to you, take this off and put it back to by balanced. In the red zone, I would go by height because people will try to highball. And you may even want to use by height because of ad catches in Madden 23. It's something new that you might want to think about. You need the height, because if you put a corner on a tight end and they just throw it up and it's a 1v1, guess who's coming down with the ball on an ad catch? That tight end, son. So the Kelseys, those guys are going to catch the ball more times than not because you put smaller people on them. So make sure you have your height set properly. That way you can pick the ball. Option defense, they try to run with the quarterback, a Lamar, Josh Allen, whoever it is. They run an option. I leave this balanced until they do it one time. If they do it one time, I change this to conservative, so they always focus on the damn quarterback. I don't care about the running back. I care about the quarterback. All right. So conservative is where it goes when they run it one time. Strip ball. You can set this to aggressive, to strip ball aggressive. The con behind this is, I don't know why it's not showing it, is if you're going for a strip ball aggressive, chances are they're probably going to break tackles and get away and go for a lot of yards in the run game. So strip ball conservative, your tackling is going to be a little bit better. It used to tell you that, but it's not telling you that now. And in tackling, you want to set this to aggressive. Now, here's the cool part about setting this to aggressive. If you're running blitzes like my blitz, my DB strike, you put safeties in the position of the cornerbacks. Instead of having a cornerback come out on a blitz, right, or a linebacker, I have Isaiah Simmons wrapping around. This guy will try to hit stick the quarterback and make him fumble. And a lot of the times. Now, the con is the higher chance of broken tackle. So I would say if you're going to blitz heavy, aggressive, or if you need a turnover, aggressive. Everything else, I would go balance or conservative. If you're facing a Derrick Henry, okay, you need to make sure that you either leave this on balance or conservative. Okay, it increases the chance of allowing yards after contact. However, your guys won't be driving and throwing themselves all over the place. I would just leave the damn thing on balance, man, to be honest with you guys. Now, zone drops, okay? This is important because people like to throw underneath routes. They like to throw over the middle routes, little drag routes and stuff like that, because it's very hard to throw over the top. So you need to develop some short yardage defense, and this is where the drops come in. So to stop the flat plays that go out right to the sideline, you want to set this to 5. If it's like 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, you want to set this to 10 or 15. Simple, right? And then for deep crossers, you want to set this to 25 to 30. Now you can mess around with 20, but remember that when you set these right here, that's how far these guys on the outside are going to go back. So if they throw a flat route, you have to set to 25. Guess what? You gave them 10 yards. You have nobody there. So make sure you understand the situation. What a lot of people do is they'll set this to 25 and they'll set the curl flats to 5 and they'll run a Mabel. They'll put a curl flat, which is the purples in cover 3. And they'll go 5 yards to the flat, and then they'll set the cloud, which will go 25 yards. So you'll have someone blocking the the small side of the field, or the short, you know, where they only need like 5 yards, and you got someone guarding the back of that corner route, so they can't run a flood concept. This is how you shut down a flood concept. Very easy. Now hooks is tricky, okay, because if someone's running a bunch of slants on you, right, you can set your hooks. Okay, and this is not just hooks, it should be like vertical hooks too. I don't know why it just says hooks, but I guess it means all hooks, right? Well, your vertical hooks right here, okay, right here, 3 rec, middle read, vertical hooks. You can set these guys to whatever you want. Now, my recommendation to you is to start at 10. If the quarterback seems like he just wants to run out of pocket a lot, set it to 5. Okay, 10 will be like a nice zone. If they're getting underneath your route, set them to 5. And if they're getting above it, go to 15. Now you'll set this higher as they need more yards. So if you get someone stuck in a 4th and 20, bro, put this to 20. Put this to 15, 20, right? And then you're gonna set these guys 20, right? Or curl flats 20. Make sure everybody goes back and plays the first down line. And you can even set sticks in your adjustments on defense. As far as the zone coverage match, zone defenders can read the routes of the receivers to determine coverage responsibility. So if they don't see a threat and there's an outside receiver, they can follow in man principles the way soft squats do, the way I guess match coverage works as far as cover threes, cover four quarters, those kind of match defenses. These will change their matchup responsibilities, and they will take off down the field. Now in match coverage, you got to understand that your table routes from your running backs usually get open when you use match. So remember, underneath will cook you in match coverage. If you do not make the proper adjustments, you will get cooked with this adjustment if you don't know what the hell's going on. So remember, if someone's running match against you, table routes, drag routes, a slant and a drag opposite each other. I'll go over all that on the channel. I've gone over it before. It's still the same principle, man. So that'll probably be the next video, how to attack it down the field instead of using the table routes. Make sure you guys drop a like. Love you guys, man. Peace.